So I'm mostly here because of the update, but I've already done what needs to be done in the update that this comes with, because, well, otherwise I wouldn't have unlocked things like that. So I'll be doing the stage, and then maybe I'll be autopiloting, because again, I already know what happens, so, yeah. But most of my time in Vampire Survivors has been grinding eggs, basically AFK, because I can do that. Not to the level that most veterans have done. So I think the most golden eggs I have is on Red Death, with around 3,000-ish golden eggs. And you can obviously go a lot higher, but again, that's just how much I have. And then a few other characters have like 1,000, 2,000, and then another, I think maybe only a couple of them after that have about a couple hundred. And then obviously, as you saw, Antonio here has 9 eggs, because I just did a run, and then I haven't really completed a lot of stages as him. That said, if I were to do more Vampire Survivors, or I was planning to do a thing, but I would have to do it on a completely clean save file, and I'll leave things at that. But here we are as pretty much complete. Because now we're at the complete base game, if the version number didn't already clue you in. Of course, things could come after, but I think the dev did what they wanted to do. They said that they wanted to just get one out, and that's pretty much where they plan to stop. But again, we'll see what happens afterward, among with any other number of things that could happen. But that would be theory crafting at that point, and there's not really much else to talk about in terms of the dev cycle. Of course, again, I don't doubt that the dev would. Well, if you were to ask me for my guess, I would guess that the dev would plan to put more goodies in terms of actual main content. Though it'll probably be a while, or maybe it won't. But again, if you were to make me bet on a time, I would say probably like. Knowing what the dev likes to do, I would say probably around a month. If we're looking at any, and by main content I mean maybe another character and whatnot, and I don't mean a secret character. Again, if I were to place bets, but I can imagine that the dev wants to take some time off. You know, they've pretty much worked on this main part of the update, which was not in the previous one, I believe. So again, I haven't been too in tune. I've been mostly doing some AFK gold egg farming. There are other ways you can get golden eggs faster, but I kind of want to stick to a code of ethics, so you could use some very obvious ways. I just choose not to. Also, I should have been taking other... no, actually, Empty Tome is pretty much one of the highest priority in my mind, because cooldown reduction is just so important. I think what is the soft limit? 90% off the top of my head, if I were to think. Again, that's only in my head because, you know, I usually, no matter what game I play, most of the time I like to look into what I'm doing, try to be somewhat optimal, that way I'm not just standing around getting, in this game, getting killed, I guess. But from the main menu, I have, I know I didn't show you, but I have all the upgrades maxed here, so that way my time here is a bit easier, otherwise it might be a bit harder than expected. I don't think I've ever died here, except for the one time I went in with golden eggs, because I think, or maybe it's only if you have a high amount of golden eggs. Again, don't quote me on this is just me thinking out loud. That way you get into my mind a little bit. Whether that helps you or not, I hope it helps people, but basically, taking golden eggs here does the inverse effect. I made the mistake of doing that, and yeah, it was, I died, so that wasn't great. Again, it does the inverse effect. I feel like it does. It makes you slower. It basically reverses a lot of your stats. So yeah, you just want to come in here vanilla. Obviously, this is also spoilers as well, but I'll probably put that in like the description or something, or the thumbnail, because it's pretty obvious. That said, that's not where most of the, well, progressing through the, I guess, quote-unquote main story, if we were to say anything, you don't have to get every achievement, but there's a pretty, not linear, but hitting certain bullet points in the achievement list will basically get you into this fight, which is pretty much the end of, again, version 1.00. It's 1.0.1111, but you get the point. There's a progression that you can go through. But not really much else. If I were to somehow, for some reason, make a guide on this fight, even though, you know, other people have done better jobs already, yeah, it's just all about hitting the things that are hovering around the boss. As you can hear, the chimes, sound effects of things breaking. That's why I kind of lowered my volume even more than usual, because that sound effect is actually pretty loud in my ears. So, I just want to make sure that the viewer also doesn't suffer. But there's nothing too special. You don't have to do anything too sophisticated. Just keep hitting the things around the boss and dodge AoEs, and you should be pretty fine. That said, being able to take the correct upgrades is pretty important. And the yellow hand bringing in white death there is, I believe it's proportional to the number of revives you have, just to make sure you don't have any revives to essentially raise the difficulty of the fight, because that's objectively what it does. With less revives, obviously that means you can't be dying. But without further ado, let's get on to staying on the boss and hopefully not dying, because these AoEs, I don't know, I haven't been hit by them for too long, but basically not standing in them would be the best for my health. Also, I could just be standing here. I don't know why I'm moving, because the boss is only boss is relative to what's on screen, so you know. That said, a bit more damage might do me some good, but also doesn't help that the lights are not dropping any healing. But again, that's on me to receive healing by taking an upgrade or by not getting hit and just healing over time, because I think well, I can check right now. Base is, yeah, 0.5 per second, so over the course of 30 seconds, that's 15 HP, 60, 30 HP. I mean, that's a pretty simple calculation, but the point is that I will be healing HP over time. If I wasn't, this would be actually a lot harder. So 0.5 is a good, safe number to regen per second. 0.4 and 0.3 are okay, and then 0.2 and 0.1 might be a little bit too slow, so as seen here, as I'm taking damage, I might actually die here. If I die, well, I guess I'll figure out what to do with my recording. But normally I would take Crown, but I'm going to... I don't think you can even evolve your weapons here. I can't remember. I've only done this stage twice, but doing it with every character, I guess, is more a... What do you want to call it? A vanity trophy for me. Because it's not like it shows up in the... it doesn't show up in the main menu, I don't think, as far as I know. But, I mean, you can still kind of keep track of things, so... That said, I think this is the final phase, so... Let's get to, let's try not to die. These red deaths are actually not as tanky as the real one, thankfully, so, hopefully I don't end up dying. That said, I am getting swarmed a bit here, so let me try actually focusing on not dying. I don't think whip tricking will help me either, because I want to hit Reapers on both sides. Well, actually, I'm moving in a very diagonal... I'm moving north-west right now, so I might want to whip trick to the left, but... And that's my own self-made-up term, that's not a real term. What I mean by that is, you can turn your character... Or, if you're using the whip, you can turn your character... If you can manage to do so fast enough, all of your whip attacks will go in one direction. But, yeah. I was considering whether I should be taking, like, an actual damage upgrade. But I think most of the time, the main weapon upgrade I think is for the better. Unless my whip... Well, actually, I can see the numbers on screen. If I were to increase my damage by 10, that might have been better. But it's too late now, at least until I stack them. But, you know... no, Duplicator. I think that should be near the end. Yeah, there we go. So, again, not much to it. I just want to put this out at least for a Halloween video. And I'll also sit through the credits to give you some time. That also means I need to timestamp things, because otherwise they're going to be... just for the viewer's sake, I will leave things in. I don't know if this money that I'm getting here is real, too. I never checked. Again, I've only done this stage or fight a few times, but... Without further ado, that's quote-unquote the end of Vampire Survivors, at least the base game, or vanilla, until, again, the developer decides to add in more things. If this is real money, this is at least good for getting some amount of eggs. Well, it's really only 10 eggs right now, because each egg costs 10k, and, yeah. With that as the case, I think your greed actually does affect it somewhat, but... Hey, I'll let these credits rock because they're actually pretty... Anywho, but yeah, my time through Vampire Survivors was mostly focusing on the achievements. After I got the achievements, when golden eggs were unlocked, I started farming them because I feel like that was a good design. Golden eggs you couldn't toggle when they first came out, which was kind of not... people wanted to be able to toggle that, and now that they could, and now you can, I think it was soon after, but the dev then had the... I mean, the dev probably already planned for it, but they came up with mechanics that basically don't allow you to take eggs with you. I think the first was the final part, or I can't remember what it's called exactly, but basically the long corridor up to the yellow hand, you're basically set to your base stats, so you have to go through the corridor with base stats. And then you go through and, I see people on the list that I could talk about, but I'm not going to talk about. But yeah, if you want to circumvent golden eggs, that's literally just making it so certain stages or fights or bosses or parts of stages basically toggle them off so you don't benefit from them. But at the same time, golden eggs are a pretty good way to reward, I guess. Not exactly, I mean, it also includes veterans, but anyone willing to grind golden eggs. That way it gives there's some point to doing it, that way you can farm better or for me, it was most of the updates were a lot easier with golden eggs, so yeah, and you had to be able to know which characters could do it. Even a few hundred eggs was pretty efficient. So here at as my voice breaks, here at Hi Eli, you can hit enter. Well, for me, it's enter on my keyboard, but it changes the credits somewhat. So as the music proceeds to get a bit faster, and then I think that's the last one. It sends the back button, and it's piggybacking or crowd surfing on the avatars below. I'm really interested as a last comment on how this was designed. I wonder if it spawns just a random order of characters / enemies / sprites, but it's a pretty fun credit sequence. So. But yeah, without further ado, that'll be the end of that. I can also look back at the recording, my goodness, my words, as I hit the end screen here, and we'll see what we have for our gold. Well, we'll see I want to look at my golden sea, but otherwise, if I do more Vampire Survivors content, I will. If you have any suggestions or want to see me do more Vampire Survivors in the future, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, if you want to help me long term, please subscribe to this channel, and I'm out. Thank you for watching.